"Oh God, why did you take my cow?" She had a favorite cow, and they had to kill the cow. So she is blaming God. "Why did you take my cow? No, it's not fair. Why did you do this to us?" No. We don't want our children growing up with this understanding. That is the understanding which leads to disbelief. Ultimately, when children grow up with that kind of understanding, it leads them ultimately to disbelief. Because if you listen to the greatest of the atheists, whether it's Hawking, for example, that physicist, scientist, who has written books trying to show that the world has no beginning, there is no God. If you listen to him, why he disbelieves and he feels there is no God, he basically is crying out saying, "Why me?" Because he's in this crippled state, When he was in his 20s or so, he got some debilitating disease which reduced him to a cripple. He has to be pushed around in a wheelchair. He can't hardly speak. He speaks through a electronic device connected to his throat. Why me? He came to India and did a tour of India, and he saw all these billion people who virtually have no contribution to human knowledge, nobody's, but they're healthy and good. Why me? Me with this huge brain, and my body is just like this. There can't be a God to do this to me. Well, that's what it comes to. Or you hear others, "Why are you atheist?" When I was so and such an age, my aunt, who was really, really close, we were very close, and she was such a nice woman, and she had a car accident and died. Why? Because they couldn't get an explanation for it, then they say no God. It's a mistake. You need to understand that whatever takes place is for the better. There is good in it, whether you are able to realize it or not. And Allah says, "La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha." Allah does not burden any soul beyond their capacity. That no one can commit suicide saying, "This life is just too much, it's unfair, I can't deal with it, No, this is a sin, a major sin, to kill yourself. You see people who are into euthanasia, where they say, okay, people who are very sick, they got these cancers, diseases, things that are so painful, why shouldn't they be allowed to take their lives? Why? Why are they going to take their lives? Why? Because from a secular point of view, life is about pleasure, to enjoy. So if life becomes pain, then there's no enjoyment anymore, why live it? That is the atheist, secularist position. One who doesn't know and understand God. No. Every moment that we're alive on this earth is a moment for us to remember God and to purify ourselves. As the Prophet Muhammad said, for the believer, if he or she steps on a thorn which pricks their foot, in that, if we're patient with it, is purification from sin. If we patiently bear that harm, that pain, it purifies us from sin. So the person who leaves this world in pain, if he is patient or she is patient with it, it purifies them from sin. So one shouldn't be anxious to say, let me get it over with and kill myself, get out of here. Why? Have we done so much good that we can say, okay, I'm ready to face God? No. So it is for the believer, they are patient. And that patience is purification. And the believer always has hope in God. They do not give up hope and fall into despair. The state of despair is one of the signs really of disbelief. We always, as a believer, hope for the best. We're patient, but hope, as Allah said, surely those who believed and emigrated and strove for the sake of Allah and hope for Allah's mercy, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. not blind hope, meaning that we have done nothing. This is not true hope. If we call it tawakkul, it's not tawakkul. Where you do nothing, you make no attempt to submit your life to God, but you're hoping, because my name is Muhammad or Fatima, I will end up in paradise. Because God is merciful, and I hope for His mercy. No, this is very foolish. God's mercy does not contradict His justice. His justice operates along with His mercy. Now, the calamities that we face in lives, either we have grasped them as believers, patient with them and we grow, or if we have strayed from the path, the calamity becomes a reminder. How many people we know of became good Muslims, good practicing Muslims, because a calamity struck them? Many, many cases. And this is good. It's a reminder. It can be a reminder from God. And Allah says that in the 32nd chapter, verse 21, I will make them taste a lesser punishment before the greater punishment, that perhaps they may return to the right path. وَلَنُذِيقَنَّهُمْ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى دُونَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَكْبَرِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. Allah also said in the 30th chapter, verse 41, corruption has appeared on the land and in the sea because of what human hands have earned, in order that Allah may make them taste a part of what they have done, and in order that they may return to the right path. So it's a reminder. Those of us who have strayed, we should take it that way. For the believers, the sincere believers, if we don't find some calamities happening to us, difficulties happening in our lives, then we need to beware. We need to beware. Because we may be on the wrong path, where a person goes down an evil path and Allah allows them to go on that path to catch them in that state of evil and punish them. So if life is going smooth, don't be so happy with it that you forget God. You may be on the wrong path. One needs to look, one needs to reflect. Otherwise, the trials are a means of exposing people who are in fact hypocrites. That when the trial comes, okay, you saw him, he seems to be a practicing Muslim, then a trial comes in his life, all of a sudden he becomes a disbeliever. He says, wow, what happened to him? The trial. Trial exposing the hypocrites. As Allah said in the 29th chapter, verse 2, do people imagine that they will be left alone and not tested with afflictions because they say we believe? Indeed, I have tested those before you, and Allah will know those who are truthful and those who lie. Just because you say you believe doesn't mean that life now becomes a bed of roses. You see, this happens especially to people when they first convert to Islam. You'll find that in some cases, a number of cases, the person converts to Islam and all of a sudden calamity falls on them. And people around them from their family or whatever will say, see, because you became Muslim, that's what happened to you. It's the big test. It's the trial. Now, are you going to stand firm? Did you do it out of belief? Or did you become a Muslim because you want to marry this person? Right?